Hello and welcome once again to Hour 1. As always, I'm Charlie, and this time I'll be taking a look at the game Valiant Hearts: The Great War by Ubisoft. As always, I'll be playing the first hour of the game and then giving my thoughts and impressions and musings, I guess, after that hour, and a little bit of a summary and review of what's happened so far of the game. With that being said, let's get to it. Alright, starting the timer now. This game is gorgeous looking. I'm not sure I actually played a UbiArt. What's that? The UbiArt system game? I'm not sure I played one yet. Oh, that guy's a dick. I really hope he dies. He dies horribly. Okay. Bullseye. Oh god, those take forever to explode. Let me guess, I have to mash. Not as bad as mashing. This reminds me a bunch of the cave, almost. Which I'm not sure I think is a good thing. Okay, so he loves music. That's neat, I guess. Oh yeah, so I guess for everyone confused, this is World War I, not World War II. While World War I is truly terrible, World War I was kind of, well, a massacre on every front because stuff like mustard gas and trench warfare, the bad way, were being used at that time. As I think we're about to see. Yup. Okay, we're dodging shells. That's a cool mechanic. Not the uphill. People die on the uphills. Oh god. You're my kind of guy, Freddy. Simple goals in life. Punch stuff I don't like to death. Oh, I get it. Weird stealth mechanic. Ah, the dynamite. Boom time. Snip, 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 snip. Nope, back in the trench. Oh no. Probably could have grenaded it, but that might be a waste. Let's maybe go punch him out, and then... Yeah, it sounds like a plan. Yeah! Okay, so it's not totally obvious what I can and can't interact with, which is a little annoying. Ah, yes. Winter. The thing that fucks everything over. in World War One and World War Two. Pulvavinas? Yes.
Merci. What? 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 Okay. What?
Something bad's about to happen. Yep. Yep, this is trench warfare.
Go. What? Hey, hey. We.
Alright, cool. It's obviously 1 hour. So, obviously that's 1 hour. You heard the alarm go off. So, Valiant Hearts the Great War. I guess I'll start with the good and end with the bad for a change, instead of bouncing around. So, first off, the game is just breathtakingly beautiful. The art direction in the game, the character design, the levels, all of it is just a fantastic example of video game art at its finest. There's a decent chance I may go and print out stills from the recording so I can make it into pictures from my wall or something like that. That's how much I love the art style for this game. Like, I think my favorite thing they had in the game so far was they had a scene that was post-bombed out something, and they had these tree mushroom cloud explosion things, and I just loved them. Again, the art style is just fantastic. I can't say enough that's good about it. It's distinctive, it's fitting, it's dark, it's gloomy, it's almost the art style a World War II game should have, if that makes any sense. It's gritty, but kind of old-fashioned at the same time, and you've seen it, it just looks great, and it fits the mood of the game so well. So, second good thing, the story for the game is solid. It's not anything revolutionary, it's World War II, or it's World War I, my bad, and those from history understand World War I as a bit of a strange war because no one really wins it at the end. Bunch of people lose it, but there's such high casualties just on all fronts. It's not really a great period of time for any nation. It's also this weird shift in history when it comes to warfare because you have the end of what had been tactics and strategies and technology for decades, possibly centuries even, with guns finally really stepping forward as new lethal technology. I'm not saying guns weren't lethal and dangerous before then, but you now have the invention of machine gun, which, while at this point in time you're not capable of carrying around with you, it does bring the concept of automatic fire to war for the first time, as opposed to cannons and single-shot flintlock rifle, or lever-action rifle, or even bolt-action rifle. This may even before them, technically. But it brings this whole new scale of death to it, basically. You can kill hundreds of people in seconds with a device designed to do exactly that, and tactics shift from long campaigns that were about positioning and pushing forward to essentially mad dashes and desperate climbs and desperate assaults because you suddenly have razor wire, machine guns, chlorine and mustard gas, and no way really of counteracting any of these new and sudden very harsh terrains. Remember, this is a period of time where we're still using horses as part of warfare. And maybe they'll even show up in the game later, which I would love to see, but that's a moot point whatsoever. Like, the tank has barely been invented. Hell, the car has barely been invented. If you know anything about World War II, the whole Blitzkrieg strategy Hitler used to really kind of push forward through Europe, no one had done before because no one had seen that many vehicles of that speed really used in that method before. It was a new tactic then because they had had a grand war, a big war with technology like fast-moving cars yet, because World War I was still relatively medieval in some areas. But I digress. This is an anthropology. Like I said, the story is dark and gloomy, and it's a World War I story. It's of people being forced apart. It's the story of the first catastrophically big war, a war where hundreds, thousands, millions of people die in a relatively short period of time on everyone's front. Like, no, as I said, no one wins this one, and given the nature of the war and the nature of the technology, nature of the time period, nature of the tactics, it's also a war that's known for just massive casualties in these ongoing trench warfare scenarios where to take a hill with maybe a tree on it, by the time someone finally took the tree with the hill, there'd be no tree, there'd be no hill, and there'd be a mountain of corpses on both sides to hide behind, because you now were stuck defending against the other guy trying to retake their trench you'd just taken over the span of the last 3 months. So, that's all the good stuff. The game is fantastically arty, it's an experience. I'm using the word experience in this case kind of the way I'd use it for Journey. And like Journey, gameplay is not quite this game's strongest area. Don't get me wrong, it's not broken gameplay, it's not bad gameplay, but I'm going to preface this with, I'm not the biggest fan of puzzle games. This is a really good one in my book. I enjoy puzzles, I enjoy the critical thinking aspects of them, but the logic for puzzle games tends to bug me some, and this game is no exception. This game has a really bad habit of putting you in a scenario where the solution, once you understand the rules of the scenario, is obvious, and it's quite nice in that regard, but the rules don't seem to be consistent from scenario to scenario. And I'm sure the more I'll play the game, the less I'll feel like this, but the best example I have is the area where I had the two German guys on the 2 levels. I had absolutely no clue I could go upstairs in that area. I had never gone upstairs to that point in the game, so I died a couple times essentially trying to figure out if I could go up those stairs, and when I finally did, I got past it, obviously, quite quickly. But that's my issue with the logic, and I'm not saying you should spell things out for me, but, maybe that nice tutorial they gave us at the very beginning, have me go through a door. Make it obvious that, you're not just going to go over things and smash through things and throw things and knock stuff down and stuff like that, but you're also going to step into doorways or step through foregrounds, and on the flip side, too, the game's done a good job introducing new mechanics. The 2 characters I've played as so far are Freddy and the French guy, who, for the life of me, I can't remember his name. I feel bad about that, because he's an interesting character. But Freddy has the wire snippers, and seems to have a much more militaristic set of objectives as the game goes on, while the French guy has a spoon he's shoveling through stuff with. And the wire snippers and the shovel have both been introduced in ways that are obvious and make sense, while I'm kind of sad they couldn't introduce things like walking upstairs that way. Nitpicky at best. It's really a moot point in some regards. You're not playing this game really for the gameplay. Like I said, it's an experience, it's a story, it's an art piece, it's visuals, and the fact there actually is gameplay that's got some challenge to it is kind of nice. And on the flip side, the load times when you fail, real snappy, real quick, so it's not a big issue. So my little minor gripes aside, the game is just fantastic. If you're a fan of video games, art, if you're a fan of real story, emotional-driven games, hell, if you're even a fan of history in some regards, I'd recommend this game. It's got a nice feel to it, it's got a nice historical setting to it, and it feels like it's doing honor to the time period, if that makes any sense. Like, it never strays into the, World War I wasn't that bad. No. Every part of this game paints World War I as just horrible, as it should. So, with that being said,